Right, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 16th. This is class 8 for CAD 212. Today in class, we're going to be going over creating a site. Parts of creating a site, we'll be learning how to create a property line, toposurface tool, and split surface tools. We'll also go into creating sheets, so you can start getting your sheets organized, but we'll go into sheets in a little bit more in depth next week. This week, for a goal for your project, you should try and have the majority of your model complete. So when we move into next week, it'll be more of just organizing your work and putting it into sheets and just kind of finalizing things from there. There is a mod that is live now. Do turn your work in there so I can check it before next week. It would just be helpful for you to see if I can catch anything that you're having issues with. Important dates that are coming up. As we know, we are off the week of Mardi Gras, the 28th and 2nd. We don't have class, but when we come back on the 7th, our project is due and our midterm exam is on the 9th. So do keep that in mind as we move forward. With that said, let's go ahead and jump into class. So today we're going to talk about creating a site. Let's do that first, and we'll jump into Revit. All right, so when we're creating a site, it starts by which level that you're on. Obviously, we've been working in level 1, but pay attention that there is a site level as well. So obviously, we would start on the site level. To create our site, we'll go to the Massing and Site tab, the Model Site panel, and the Toposurface tool. We'll also be using the Property Line tool in the Modify Site tab. So first thing we're going to do is go to Property Line. And if you're given a specific site and size and things like that, this is where you would create that specific size property. We're going to create this by sketching. And you can use the line tool or you can use the rectangular tool. This one, I'm just going to go ahead and use the line tool on here. Notice I have my feet that come out. On here, if I did want to just sketch something real quick and then change the dimensions, I can do that as well. So if I wanted to change that actually to 70 feet, I can do that. If I wanted that to be 60 feet, I can correct that. And notice that we do have our temporary dimension symbol here. So if I wanted to lock that in place, I could do that as well. Just the same way that we did that before. So we'll just lock that. Don't need this dimension right now, so I'm going to delete it. It will still stay locked in place. That's the formula for just kind of drawing out your exact measurements for your site, and then we're just going to hit the green check mark. You're going to end up with something that looks like this, this dashed line here. And this will give you, this is going to guide you to create your site. So if we go back to our Massing and Site tab, Model Site panel, and Toposurface tool, now I just have to click on the corners of this, and you'll notice that's going to come in, and I'll hit my green check mark. It doesn't look like anything now. Let's go ahead and turn on our consistent color, and we have the something that looks like earth on here. So let's click on that, and let's jump over to our type selector. There's no options in here for type selected, but if we look on this top part here, it says material. So we can just change our material here. We can change that from mud to grass. Let me just go ahead and change that to grass. I do know I need to create grass. So I'm going to come in here, create new material, rename. Oops, that's not what this is. There we go. Go in here. I can do a search here for grass. I don't use it very often, but grass is one of the few that work properly. And I'm just going to use the St. Augustine since that's typical to the New Orleans area. Click on my user under appearance and go back to OK. And now that automatically just changes my material to a green grass color. So that's pretty nice. Let's jump to 3D. Let's turn our grass on here. So making a site's really easy. So this is the easy part, but everybody's got a building on their site right now. So that makes it a little bit more confusing. So let's throw a building up real quick. So I've got that there. This is what the inside of your building is going to look like when you create that site. The site's not going to go around your building or anything. It's going to go over the floor that you have. And basically what we have to do is remove this interior section from the site in order to make the model appear correct, or you're always going to have like grass inside here. Let me go ahead and throw in a quick floor so you'll see what that'll look like. Back to 3D. So now you know it's wrong because you've got that kind of like mashup kind of color on there. So we need to remove the site from the inside of the house. So how do we do that? We're going to go back to Masking and Site tab, and we're going to use this split surface tool. Split surface splits this site into two separate and distinct sites within the same boundary. So just to do like a quick demonstration of how that works, if I click on the site tool, then on the site, that I want to split, I'll just use this rectangular one and create something that looks like that. So now I have a site here, like a little mini site within this site. I can change the material of this site. Separate from the material of that site. And if I wanted this to go away, I can just hit delete, but it's going to leave a big hole in my site. So there's certain times where you want to use split surface, and there's certain times where you want to use another tool called subregion, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. And you'll have to forgive me, all of a sudden I got the hiccups. So let me undo all this. And let's show you how we work that to remove the site from the interior of the building. So I find the easiest way is just to start by turning it over and work from the bottom part. This one is an easy one to do. I can go right around the slab, or I can hide the slab and go around the building walls. I'm going to make it easier on myself and just go around the building walls. So once again, I'm going to click on the split surface tool, click on the surface that I want to split. I'm going to use this rectangular tool. I'm just going to go from corner to corner and hit my green check mark. So it doesn't look like it did anything. And A lot of times people get to this point and they'll forget to highlight this piece of site on the interior of the larger site and hit delete. That's all you have to do is hit delete, and then that's correct. But a lot of times people forget to just do that simple step, and that would be points off on your final, on your midterm and your final. Sorry, I just had hiccups. But that part of the site is permanently deleted. If I put my slab back on, now you'll see that my slab, it's not got that site piece on top of it. So creating sites is pretty easy. When we get into the second half of the semester, we're going to do more advanced stuff. So, but we're just going to just do this easy site for now, and then we'll learn more advanced stuff in the second half of the semester. Any questions about creating a site? I can go over that one more time, but it's actually pretty straightforward.
Hey, sorry, can you show how to make the topo surface again?
Yeah. Let me just delete this whole thing and I'll do it over again. So I deleted the topo surface, but I did not delete the property line, as you can see when I went back to my site level. So property line is pretty straightforward to do, and topo surface is very easy as well. Just click on topo surface tool to make it active. Click on the corners of this. I could do I could click here as well and then click here, but since it's a square, it'll just come in with 4 points, so you can just do that. So topo surface is very easy to use. That's just pretty straightforward. Then once that's created, click on it, make it active, come over here to materials, and hopefully my grass still exists. There it is. And then just create a grass material and make it grass. And the advanced parts will learn how to create sidewalks and all that fun stuff. But just for the first project, you just need to know how to create a site and remove that interior section from the building. Any other questions about that? Y'all are good with this interior part? That's on the recording. Just follow that if you have trouble with it. And it's do it a couple of times, it'll make it a lot easier for you. Okay. So next stuff we're going over today is creating sheets. All right. So we've done all this work on this model and have, depending on how big our model is, it's going to be pretty in depth. But once we have this cool model, what do we do with it as far as actually creating construction documents so people can use it to build it? Well, we need to create sheets. And even though you may have the best model that you've created, if you have sheets that are unreadable, that's not really great work. So a lot of great work goes into creating the model, but we're actually, the real important stuff in order to give this to industry is to create some really awesome sheets. And that is making sure that the sheets are easy to read, well balanced, well organized. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So is everything with Revit? Once you do it in one section, it populates everywhere else. So we're going to go to our project browser. We're going to go down to sheets, and we're going to right click on sheets, and we're going to hit new sheet. It comes with one previously loaded sheet, this E130 by 42 horizontal, but we can load additional sheets. So we're not going to use this one for this project. We're going to go to load. This is back to our load family. So we're going to scroll all the way down to title blocks. And these are the other so that we can choose from. On this one, we're just going to use the 11 by 17 horizontal. So we'll double click on that. Once you have this loaded, you don't have to reload it. It'll be loaded into the model, and you can just continue using it by creating a new sheet, and we'll hit OK. This is what it's going to look like. So the information that we can change on our sheet is all this information down here. And we want to keep that consistent in our project as well. So for owner on this one, we're just going to put Delgado, we're just going to put DCC. And just double click on this one. For project name, we're going to call this term project, very inventive. This one is going to be my title sheet. For the project number, we're just going to use CADD 212. For the issue date, we're going to use the date that it's due, which is March 7th. Gosh, these hiccups will not go away. For drawn by, that's going to be your initials. And then for a checker, you can just use my initials, which are MC now. If we jump back to Canvas and we go to our documents. Remember, we do have our sheet numbers listed here. So we open our sheet numbers. The sheet numbers that we're going to be creating this for this project are your G101 sheet, your title sheet, your A101, your site plan, your A201, your floor plan, A301, building elevations. And I think that should be it for this one. So today we're just going to concentrate on your G101. We'll go over those sheets again next class, but today we're going to create the G101. You can also jump back to this plan set here that we looked at that breaks down that information for you, how that's going to look. Always use this as an example of how to lay out your sheets, which is pretty nice, especially when we get to our more complicated ones. But notice how things are organized really nicely on the same plane, on the same level. But for now, we're going to create just our G101 sheet. So on that, we're going to put a title on here. So we'll put the title of the project, your name on here is creator, and we're going to learn how to import an image as well. So let's jump back to Revit. So we're going to change this sheet to a G101 because it's our general information sheet, our title sheet, G101. So that's pretty ready to get started with the rest of the information. What I want to do next is import an image in here. For your first image that you can import any image you want. It's just important that I know that you know how to import an image. So we'll go to our Insert tab. We'll go to the Import panel and the Image tool. So I'm going to click on Image, then just find any image on your, any image that you want to use. There's so much junk on this computer. Actually, if you just want to even use your snipping tool, oops. Can use that. Pick this here. I'll save as. All right, that'll make it easier for me to find. So back to image. Back to documents. And then I'll bring that in. It'll come in and look random like that or anything. So you can obviously, when it's active, I can change the size of it. So I'll just bring that down and place that. Let's place that here for now. So I've got my image imported. Next thing I want to do is put some text in here. So I'm going to go to my annotate tab, to my text panel, and to my text tool. So if we open that up and we go straight to our type selector, notice the default is going to be Arial at 1/4 of an inch. If we drop down, we also have Arial at 3/32 of an inch. Let's just type out a couple of things so you can see what they look like. DCC. So for this size sheet, it actually comes in at a pretty good size. And let's check out what size this one looks like at 3/32. Notice it's going to give me that location line. So if I wanted to keep everything lined up, which is great. So here you can get an idea of what that size looks like, but you can change this. You don't have to go with the default text that they have in here. So you've probably figured out by now, in order to change that, we just go to text. We go to edit type. We'll duplicate and rename that. And if I want to create my own text, yeah, I would name it something better than that, but I'm just going to use that for now. I can always go back and rename it as well. So if I don't like the Arial text, I can go ahead and change the text font. So you can see there's a buttload of stuff in here. So I would definitely recommend going in here and changing it just to kind of play with it while you can. Let's do something obnoxious like that. If I wanted to change my text height, I can change that as well. Let's change that to 1 inch so we can see what that looks like. You can't change the color, but I recommend not to. You don't usually see colors like that on a title page. You want to keep it very clean and professional. There may be times within your drawing that you want to use text and you want to change color to make sure something really kind of pops out at your contractor, whoever's looking at the project. So you may want to change that to red or something. So you can change that as well. But let's go ahead and use this that I created and hit OK. And if I wanted to not line that up vertically, if I wanted to line that up horizontally, I can start here and notice how much bigger that is now. So just to make notes for what you want to do on here. So you want to create your title sheet for this week. Just start playing with the sheets. We're going to go into in-depth information more on how to create actual floor plan sheets and stuff later, but I would like you to create your title sheet for this week. On your title sheet, you're going to have all this correct information that we have on the bottom that we went over. Excuse me. For the information that you're going to write on the title sheet right here, you're at least going to have, you know, Delgado Community College written out on there, midterm project and your name, and then also put the date that it's due. I'm not giving you any some directions in regards to how to lay it out. I want to see what kind of ideas you have as far as laying out the project. I like to have everything kind of left centered. And then if we jump back to our file here, notice that it's centered along the middle center part instead of left justified. So I'm leaving that up to you, but remember the main guiding principles is to make sure it's clean, easy to read, very straightforward. Notice how there's different size fonts used on here. So I want you to organize that to how you think that would look best. That's just changing the font sizes and then also the different types of fonts that you can kind of play with. I wouldn't use multiple fonts on it. I'd like to keep it to one font that just looks nicer if you put a bunch of fonts on there, and especially if you use something obnoxious like this that looks less professional. And then also import a picture in here so we can see that. So create your title sheet with that information that we just went over, and then also create your site. Make sure that that site is removed from the interior of the building. Once you create the sheet, it's automatically going to save it. And that's pretty much it for today. So nice short lecture today. Gives you a chance to catch up on a lot of work. When we come back next week, we're going to go into more in-depth on how to create sheets and things like that. So that way you're all set to get everything organized before we go to Mardi Gras break. So that's it for the lecture. I'm going to open the floor for any questions about today's lecture or any questions in general.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the once you create the sheet, does that apply automatically to every level, like level 1, level 2, elevations?
Well, actually, that's a great question. The interesting part is when I create another sheet, this sheet is specifically just for the sheet that I just created here. So that's there. So if I wanted a sheet for elevations, I would do a new sheet. Notice it's the same sheet that I loaded here. It's still available. So I'm going to pick that same sheet, and then I would start adding my elevations onto this sheet. Once I start doing that, it's going to like start populating more information in here for me. Notice some information does carry over. Here we have the title. Here we have this information over here. A lot of times people forget to go back and add the author information, the check information, and rename it here. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth in next week's lecture. But we would import our elevations or floor plans or site plans into these sheets from there. And
Awesome.
that'll automatically be saved.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
Yep. Any other questions, y'all?
Hi. So when I try to make the roof soffit, I know when you did it, you could see the outline of the edge of the roof, and then you're able to connect it to the edge of the house. When I do it, I don't see like the outside edge of the roof, the overhang.
Okay, that's hard to determine what's going on without me seeing it, but let's see if we can figure it out. So let me just throw a roof on here real quick. I'm just going to attach these walls for this particular exercise. I'm going to jump to 3D. So I want to put my soffit under this level right here.
Mm-hmm.
So let me flip this over. I'm going to hide this site. So you can see that's available right now. I'm in 3D and I turned it over. So here I'm going to go back to my roof tool and drop down to soffit. And I do want soffit on level 2. So if I do my pick lines tool, now I can do it right here. So in this particular instance, I do want to work in 3D. I know a lot of times we work in like a different floor level or something, but certain times it's easier to work in 3D, and it does work. We never want to import doors or windows or anything like that in 3D because it doesn't know what to do with it and they end up in like weird places. But in this particular instance, if I go from a straight bottom down view, I can create my soffit in this view right here. Now, when I hit my green check mark and I flip the house over, shoop, there's my soffit right there. At this point is when I want to adjust the height of that soffit. I believe it came out to 2 foot 4 inches negative 2 foot 4 inches. And that puts that right where we need it to go. Did that help? So in the draw it in 3D. For the soffit, you can't draw in 3D, turn it over. That way you've got an entire view of that. Use your pick line tool and you can just go around the perimeter of the roof and the building, and that'll give you that look that you're looking for.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was trying to draw it in the level plan instead of the 3D. All right, thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Any other questions, y'all? Okay, if anything comes up between now and the weekend, shoot me a text, happy to help. Please turn in your work progress. People that are in class, I'm not as worried about you. The people that aren't in class, I need to know that you are doing okay. So please turn in your work progress because when we come back, things are going to move pretty quickly as far as making sure that the model's complete. Then we go to break for a week, and then we come back and hit the midterm and the midterm project and final. So please turn that in so I can just help you out there. And that's it for today. So have a great week. I will see y'all next Monday.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Take care.